Okay, so should we do a serious video? Let's talk about...
Serious? We're in Quito, Ecuador.
Let's talk about immigration and your plans to live abroad or world travel or whatever it is.
Buenas tardes. Gracias por la grabación.
Venezolano. Venezolano.
Venezolano.
Bueno.
Gracias.
Gracias.
The nifty thing about travel is you get to stay in a new place. Nice clock.
So we are in Park Carolina, Quito, Ecuador. There's a big mall right here on the side of the park. And right next to that mall, what's it called? El Arden Mall, is Super Maxi.
Let's talk about immigration and your plans to live abroad or world travel or whatever it is. So there's two things to look at with immigration. I mean, there's a lot of things to look at, but let's just narrow it down to two major things as it applies to how is it going to affect you. And one is that it doesn't matter where you go, you've got immigration. Every place has immigration. And so that's a major theme, that every place is going to have immigration. Obviously, there's like 200 countries, and maybe you want to narrow it down to a dozen for now. And so it comes down to a question of, okay, well, what am I trying to accomplish here? I mean, the thing is that I see in this space a lot of people that tend to think sort of like a group think. Okay, so two main issues. You have plans, you want to make your life abroad, you want to travel the world, whatever. Different scenarios really, because you're going to tackle this issue differently. I would urge people to reconsider the whole idea, some of those issues where people just kind of go with the group think and think they have to move their whole container and plant it in one spot. Now there are reasons to plant it in one spot if you have relatives there or whatever, but in this video we're talking about immigration in the sense that people want to either move somewhere or they want to be able to travel the world, and they want to know, well, how do I handle this immigration issue? And the main thing is with the number one, that you've got what everybody's doing. The internet's a huge place, everybody's getting on it, but what you're really seeing when you're getting on the internet is you're seeing the most common ways of doing things, and that's the number one issue. And the common way of doing things may or may not fit your needs. The thing is that the number two of this immigration issue is, where there's a will, there's a way. And when it comes to immigration, there's usually a lot of different categories and a lot of different places. So that makes for a pretty huge smorgasbord of opportunities, depending on what you're trying to accomplish, okay? So, I mean, if a guy says, well, I have to be in this city, in this country, permanently, then obviously you're going to be subject to whatever the rules are for that city and that country in this particular time. But if a person is, a little more flexible, then that's a different story too. And this brings me to number two of this immigration issue of wanting to move or retire or travel the world, is that the common way of doing it may or may not serve you, but there are usually little known ways, which we call hacks, which, by the way, definition, of hacking immigration or any other thing we discuss is never, ever about breaking the law. It's always about going along with what the law is. It's just that these particular areas of the law are not commonly known about or understood or talked about, or whatever the reason. It isn't really part of the groupthink mainstream on the internet. And someone that's been in this space a lot longer than you is going to know about it. Maybe knows about it, maybe knows some of these hacks, knows how to access hacks. And we say, perhaps you don't know about it. When you do a real quick Google search, all you're going to get is the common way of doing things. Now, I'm not saying if you spent 6 months or a year combing all the forums and doing all, that you couldn't eventually find it. It's possible. But if you want to take a shortcut to it, the easiest way to do it is to talk to somebody that has been, in this space for a longer time. We've been in this space for going on 10 years now, and yeah, we do know some hacks for getting you into Europe. And again, they're legal means. They're just legal immigration means that are not commonly, people aren't commonly aware of. So again, it's not anything unlawful or anything like that. Okay, so that's the thing. You gotta understand, there are ways of doing things, and that's why when you see people ask, well, what's your citizenship status? Well, that question does not address what we just discussed. Because my citizenship status has nothing to do with the situation that there are ways to get you into Europe, but it isn't going to apply to everyone. And so it's important to have a one-on-one discussion with you if you're serious about this kind of thing, wanting to move to Europe, wanting to travel Europe, whatever it is. So if you want to travel now, there may be other ways to do it, and I'm not focusing on Italy or Europe, but depending on what you're trying to accomplish, because I've had a few people asking about that, and I just wanted to make a video real quick. Did you have something to say?
Remember, the laws change too in these countries. It doesn't matter if it's a developing country or a first world country.
It doesn't matter whether it's Europe, South America. When you enter into these processes and you're, and the machine is slowing to a grind, they change the laws, especially in places like South America. They're really quick to change laws every few months. And in Europe too, they've been changing laws there too, making things just more bottlenecked. And what they really need is a streamlining, not bottlenecks. But there may be political reasons why they want bottlenecks. So, yeah, so, so that doesn't mean that there isn't a way, and, if this is your thing and your issue, reach out to someone that knows more than you. It could be us, it could be somebody else. But reach out and see if we could start a conversation, if to help you move forward. This is the space you're in. So. You get on the mainstream, live abroad internet, and you hear, oh, things are getting more difficult in Panama, or things are getting more difficult in Ecuador. And the thing is that a lot of people in this space have this way of looking at things because it's what they're being told, that they have to go to Ecuador. But I'm telling you right now, I have nothing against Ecuador. This is not a video against Ecuador. What I'm talking about here is options. Is that you don't have to be fixated on one spot because it's a fad or everybody's telling you this is the place to go in order to live cheap. Because I'm telling you right now, if they're making it difficult and you feel that it's making it difficult for you, there are other options out there. You don't have to feel trapped. You don't have to feel blocked out. You don't have to feel like, well, I was going to go there, but now they changed the rules and I can't. You can always go there for 90 days. You can always do what we're talking about here. You can have an apartment in 2 different countries. You can go back home for 6 months. Whatever you want. The thing is, you got to know what your options are. And we can help you explore what those options are and think outside the box. And, because we've been in this space for going on 10 years. So,
well, we're living it. We're doing it anyway.
Yeah, and this idea, it may seem like, Okay, so they're savvy, they know how to get local rates. Okay, that's nice, but what does that do for me? Well, when you talk about all these different options that open up, because we can hack, or because we can access the local rate on these apartments, in whatever country we go to, or in these countries, what have you, we can now open up our options. We're now not stuck. We don't have to feel stuck. We don't have to go here where everybody's going,
Right.
and where all the regulations are getting
Exactly.
tighter and harder because of the crowds and the money.
Exactly.
You know, we don't have to worry about it, you know? But again, you know, if there's a specific reason why you have to be in a country because of family or what have you, then you're going to want to engage a local lawyer, you know, to explore what all your options are at that point. All right, thanks for listening, guys. You know what to do if you like the video, and check out the goodies below we got for you. Have a nice day, and so have a wonderful day.